Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now January 8th of 2023, and given that there's been a lot of problems happening with Disney, not just toward the tail end of 2023, but also what they face for 2024 and beyond. We know that 2025 is going to be a very difficult year for Disney, with many expensive failures on the line, starting off with Captain America 4, as well as Snow White 2025 starring actress Rachel Zegler. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, as it turns out, there's been a lot of problems happening with the Deadpool 3 direction by Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, and Paul Wernick, the writers behind this film. And there's been a lot of back and forth battles happening between them and the Disney heads, including Bob Iger. We've been talking about this. It's been an up and down roller coaster. And we all know that this is the only MCU-related movie releasing this year. Of course, we have TV shows like Echo and the Agatha series, but even that is already beginning to garner some drama and criticism. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds himself and exactly what he was able to achieve behind the scenes when it comes to his overall mission to essentially save this film's third act, and especially the two mid-credit scenes, or should I say post-credit scenes. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with the fact that, given that the writers like Paul Wernick, Rhett Reese, Ryan Reynolds, they've been truly upset about where the direction of the third act is going, and even the principal photography may not wrap up filming by this month and may very well spill into February, but that all really depends on what's going on. Now, with the Deadpool 3 drama happening to this day between Ryan Reynolds and the Disney higher-ups, one major development has to do with Ryan Reynolds and exactly what he did behind the scenes for his third Deadpool film after reasoning with Disney. Now, as it turns out, one crucial update to this ongoing situation is that after many arguments between the Deadpool 3 writers, mainly started by Ryan against the Disney heads about their usage of the insertion of agenda-driven X-Men characters in the mid-credits scene of the film, this led to Disney eventually reasoning with Ryan by allowing him and giving him the ultimate choice on whether or not to fire and lay off the cast to portray the brand new take on the X-Men characters that would be all female-led, that were going to appear for roughly 3.5 minutes. As it turns out, Ryan was actually given the liberty to fire the X-Men cast, which consisted of both unknown actors and voiceover actors for the CG ones that were going to appear in the final frames of the film during one of the end credits scenes that was a mid-credits moment, that were recently completely written out of the story. The scene was described to involve two groups of the X-Men from different universes communicating with each other, where one group of the X-Men was an all-female-led group, and though the exact names of the characters are currently unknown for this new group, the scene that Ryan fired the cast from involved a new all-female-led group of the X-Men, literally phasing out the classic characters from some of the original movies, ranging from X-Men 1 to 3. The main reason why Reynolds had deep issues with the X-Men cast and the actors chosen for the scene is that they did a short rehearsal of this moment and this sequence before anything was really even filmed, and it was reportedly encased with not just cringeworthy dialogue, but Disney's ideology was forced into the scene initially before Disney agreed with Reynolds to back down and provide him the liberty to fire the cast of the new X-Men. One moment in the new, of course, rehearsal of this involved one version of Storm that appeared much like Halle Berry, getting shoved toward a green screen by the new version of Rogue that was said to be completely different by design. This version of Rogue is Disney's design. Now, thankfully, Reynolds had the chance to fire and let go of the new X-Men cast, and it was Reynolds' call after Disney gave him that power. This was a it's-up-to-you situation after many argumentative conversations began between Reynolds and Bob Iger. Now, guys, let me just stop here quick before I get to one of the big, moments about this ongoing issue. Now, basically what they wanted to do is that they literally wanted to pretty much tease the upcoming X-Men movie for Phase 7, which we talked about this. Disney is pushing to make it an all-female-led movie, and they wanted to use Deadpool 3 to kind of tease exactly who those X-Men characters are really going to be. One of which was a completely redesigned version of Rogue that is absolutely differed from the one that you saw in the original X-Men films. Now, we all know what that probably means, right? And the fact that they had a moment where Halle Berry was getting shoved toward a green screen, this actually equals to what we talked about earlier about how one group of the X-Men was going to throw the other group of the X-Men that we love into a portal of some kind into a different universe. Something around those lines. And we know that Deadpool 3 is going to meddle with the multiverse and stuff like that. Something that I think a lot of fans are beginning to grow very tired about. This is Disney's way of justifying why there will be so many cameos in this film from different universes that will allow Disney to explore different iterations of characters. And it so happens that Ryan, Rhett, and Paul had a very big problem with this moment where you had, of course, this new all-female led X-Men team literally just devaluing the ones that we grew up with, the ones that fans actually loved in X-Men 1 through 3, in the original films, right? Before Disney took over Marvel. This is like days, age-old stuff. So what's interesting about that, too, on top of that, this was of course, situation, in fact, where Reynolds' Deadpool parody at the Oscars, as it turns out, was a direct response to the ongoing problems behind the scenes between himself and Disney, where he actually promoted to not mess up his movie. However, certain challenges still remain to this day, as Disney is still pushing their DEI agenda into the third Deadpool movie's third act. And though Ryan failed, of course, in some areas, as Disney has not been backing down with their overall agendas, he was able to actually have a success and was able to fire the X-Men cast. And the battle is not over with Disney, not just yet, as other hurdles he has to get through still to this day. So like I said before, a couple of days ago, this movie, for the most part, was a breeze. Acts 1 and 2 were pretty well established, from what we have learned, but the third act, tainted with Disney's nonsense, tainted with Disney's typical bait and switch attitude, what they have done many times with Star Wars and other projects out there not related to Star Wars. The whole bait and switch move is becoming a more common strategy by Disney, and that's exactly what they want to do with Deadpool 3. We already talked about how they originally wanted to essentially replace Wolverine by the third act with a brand new female-oriented character that would hold a lot of Disney's DEI-focused agendas in there, and that eventually failed, because Ryan fought for that to not happen. So I think that we have to thank Ryan on a number of things, of saving many, bullets from hitting this movie, and dodging many of those bullets. So overall, he's still got a couple of challenges to meet up against Disney. They're still being very much stubborn about some of the things that they're trying to accomplish, that they're not willing to back down to. But I would love to hear what you all have to say about this ongoing situation between the writing team and everything else going on with Disney and their move on Deadpool 3. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.